Oh, I wonder if I recorded all. Ugh. I think I
You
did all
did?
that without having my mic on.
Oh no.
Well, we'll worry about that later.
I
I can
mean,
always go
I
back and
record
do
it in my head.
it. I'll go back and re-record the beginning parts of it and then we'll edit them together. Anyway, so we're starting with our shapes. We've already put our guides down so that the
Hmm.
edges of our artboard we're not doing anything to. And we've drawn a rectangle. We've made it
Uh,
exactly the size that we want. And then I want to
when
look
you
at.
adjusted it to the 2.5, is the edges of the box supposed to be dotted like that still, or does that mean that it's still being
It means
worked
it's
on?
currently being selected.
Oh, okay, yeah,
I wish
got
I
it.
could move this little recording button because I actually want to get underneath it to this. Rectangle dimensions. Okay.
Oh, wait, how'd you click there again? I think I missed it. How you opened that side box?
So you're going to have this little toolbar over here on the right hand side. This is going to have a variety of different tools.
Okay.
Right now we've got our layers. Then we have our fill and stroke, which is going to, so we can change the fill of the vector object and the stroke of the vector object, which we're about to go over. And
Okay.
then this is our properties in general. So, and
Got it.
I want to change, so these are the radiuses.
So
I want
those
to
three
change.
boxes, they only pop up or they're only usable when you select an object.
Well, so layers is different. Well, actually, let me put it this way. So if I don't have the object selected, you're still going
Okay.
to have your layers.
Okay.
Um, when I open up fill and stroke, you can open it up, but you can see it's grayed out because there's no object selected. So you have to select the object and then you can change the
Ah, I
object's
see.
fill and stroke. And then same for properties. I don't have any information about the property of something that until I select the object. And then that will tell me. So when I select this guy, I'm using my selector tool. So that selects the whole object for me. If I want to change the nodes, I take the node tool and you can see that it changed the way the rectangle looked.
Yeah.
And when I hover over the corners, I can move them around. So if I click this node, I can change the radius. That's this circle node is doing that.
Uh-huh.
If I click this square node, then I can change my rectangle this way.
Oh,
Same with this.
could you do the circle again?
Yes. So the circle changes the radius of the corners.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And you can, when I'm doing this, you can see over on the right-hand side that this number
So
is
it's changing,
changing.
right? Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oop.
So if you knew a number itself, you could just type it in, right?
Exactly. And
When
you
you
can see
press
that there's an X and a Y, so I can change the radius going this way, and I can change the radius
oh,
going up and down too.
uh, wait, which one was the X again? The X is the top or the X is the side one? Forgot.
So it's just like your typical like mathematical uh, graph, where you're going to have your X direction, which goes from
Oh,
left to right, and your Y direction, which goes up and down.
okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
So you can mess with your corner radiuses. So I can do 0.25 and 0.25, and you get
But
your.
that one only did one of the corners. Is there a way to like copy? Oh, wait, no, it did do all of the corners
Yeah,
at the same time.
yeah. There are ways to edit just the single, just one corner at a time too, but we'll worry about make
Yeah,
corners
it's pretty complex.
independent.
Okay.
So, but we're going to go back to 0 for now, and we'll keep working at
But
it.
when you do the square, it automatically comes with those three nodes, but there is a way to add more nodes on there, or no?
Yes, we'll go into that in a second.
Okay.
So right now I've got my rectangle. And I'm going
Okay.
to make it the size I made it before. So again, we've got this toolbar up here that's going to give you information about the location of the object and the size of the object. So we've got our width. I'm going to change that to 2.5. We've got our height. I'm going to change that to 2.5. And then my X location. Now let's see, can I tell if this is from the center of an object? This is something that I'm not sure about from Illustrator to this. This program is really very similar to Illustrator. So you could probably figure out all of these steps in Illustrator from seeing this. One thing I'm not sure about is where the X and the Y are located. I think they're located right here because, yeah.
Oh,
So the X and the
that's up
Y
the.
are pulling from this top left corner. So if I, or, well, let's see. So if I change this to 1 inch, yeah, it's doing it from, well, that's actually interesting. No, because 1 inch should be right here. And if I do that, but it's actually giving me, oh, no. It is. Okay, sorry. The grid lines were confusing me because these, you can see how the grid line is a little darker here. And so I was thinking that the dark grid lines compared to the lighter grid lines were each 1 inch, but they're not. The grid lines are 1/4 inch apart, so 4 of them is 1 inch. So,
So
and you can
for
also see here the color.
each of the objects you have, there's always going to be an X and a Y kind of like
The
adjustment on the
X,
top.
the X and the Y are in relationship to the artboard.
Okay.
So where it's coming from this top left corner point,
Yeah.
and we'll see if I can change where the X and the Y are being located. But for now, we'll keep it simple. The automatic place that it's going to be taking its measurement of location is from the top left corner. So this 1 inch is in relation to the artboard. So if I make this X 4 inches, the top left-hand corner is going to pop over to the 4-inch line on our ruler. Ba-bam. And you can see up here the 4-inch line.
I see. Yeah.
So that that's a way to be really precise, what you want to be when you're manufacturing things. And it's just simpler than trying to like scoot it around and guesstimate. I like to be really precise. That's my architecture background. So it's at the 1, 1. And like I said, X is going to be left and right, and Y is going to be up and down. So if I change the Y to 4, it's going to go down.
Got it.
All right. So that is sizing, width and height, and that's location, X and Y. And now we're going to talk about path and fill. So I've selected my square again, and I'm going to go to the fill and stroke. So fill is the inside of an object, and the stroke is the vector line that defines the object. So right now, my fill is empty, and you can see down here in the left-hand corner, there's this white box with an X. That means there's no fill. And
wait. Oh, okay, there. I see it. Okay, yeah.
Down here in the left where all the colors are.
Yeah.
Let me hide that. I don't want to look at that. We have our different options. So if I wanted to change my fill color to yellow, I would select that.
Wow. Okay.
And the grid lines, again, they don't exist in reality. They're just there to reference for us. In fact, I'll turn them off for now, just because I think they could be a little confusing. But
you said the X, so if I press the X now, it would just delete the yellow and it'd be transparent. That's it, right?
Yep. Boop, boop.
Got it.
So, and with your laser cutting for the cutting itself, so laser cutter has 2 settings. One is the cut setting and one is the etch setting. The cut setting always needs to be a vector. The etch setting is going to be, and the cut setting is going to be a higher power on the laser so that it cuts all the way through the material.
Yeah.
The etch setting can be a vector, but it can also be a raster image. And for that, the laser is going to be set at a lower power so that it's just burning,
Yeah.
etching.
Yeah.
So for any of your cut objects, you want to have no fill. And there will also, we'll get into that in a second, but for an etch object, for something you're going to etch, you'll have a fill typically.
Oh, okay.
So if you wanted to etch just a square into your material, you'd have it full. But we're going to get rid of our fill for right now. And this we're talking about it in terms of laser cutting, but as far as drawing, there's lots of things to learn about fill. You can fill it with gradients, you can fill it with patterns, but for now, we're keeping it simple.
Okay.
So that's the fill, and then we're going to talk about the stroke. So the stroke in this this guy right here, and is there anything else I'm clicking under that? No, okay. Stroke, this is the color of our stroke. So for the laser cutter, it doesn't really matter what color the stroke is, but typically you're just going to leave it black. It's going to be following the path, and it's not going to be considering color information. Really, anything I make for the laser cutter, I tend to do in black and white because it doesn't read color information. It only reads, is this an object to etch, or is this an object, or is this a line to follow and cut?
Good question. I know it's black because I could see that the box is black.
Yes.
But you were saying that if I were to have like a yellow, or we made the stroke yellow, where do I see that the color is yellow? Because I see like there is HSLA on the right side.
Uh-huh.
Right now it's black, so I don't see how I would know what the color is. Is it like the bottom left corner that would tell me what the color is?
We could, we'll select from any of these colors, but also, so HSL, that's one way of looking at things. CMKY and RGB are kind of the easier.
More familiar.
Uh-huh. So you can set it to that. So if I wanted it to be green, I could just move this, and you can see now the box is green. And if I had CMKY, mess with
but
that.
There's no box that shows the overall color, because those are just the different percentages to make the color. Right.
When we go to properties, you can see typically, or can I see here? Also, can I see? Oh, here it is. Down here in the left-hand corner. There we go. So okay. Stroke and fill. So, I don't know why it did that. No. But you can see the stroke is purple. The fill is black. So
okay. Do you happen to know what that number is right next to the stroke? Does that mean anything? Or does it don't really have to?
It does mean something, and I'll tell you about that in a second.
The width.
I want it to be. So I'm going to make, I want my fill. There we go.
Oh, you could just drag it?
Uh-huh. Wow. So my blue, drop and drag.
Wow.
I'm kind of learning this as we go too, so this is kind of a guess.
Can you drop it in the fill too, or no? Or the stroke? Oh, that's so neat.
Easy peasy. All right.
Okay.
So this number right here is the stroke width. Now, this is something you're going to want to know about your laser cutter, because a lot of times for the laser to follow a vector, it needs to be a specific stroke width. And that'll usually be in the instructions. I think for the laser cutter at EOH, it was like 0.001 was the stroke. But for visibility's sake, it's a lot easier if the stroke is set to 1. So this is in millimeters, but you can see there's multiple. I really wish my recording thing was not visible so that I could see.
I don't see it. I mean, on my side, I don't see it.
So. What am I highlighting right now?
Right now, you're highlighting PC.
PC, and above that?
PT, and then above
PT?
that one is one above it is inch.
All
So
right.
PT is what you're on right now. Well, now you're at millimeters. A little above is inch.
Hmm.
One more. A
I
little
don't
bit.
know why it's not selecting it. It's because it's underneath this.
Oh,
Oh, it annoys me. Can I wonder if I can I pull this out here further? Maybe if I pull this out further. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Okay.
Ah.
There we go. So point is typically, PT is an increment of points. And that, for our line weights, is what we want to be using. Now, if you're doing a different kind, this is for laser cutting specifically, but if you were doing a different kind of project and you wanted your stroke to be in inches so that you could see, like, I can change it to a 1/4 inch stroke, and now the stroke, the
Oh.
line has gotten much thicker. And here you can see the corners. You can round your joints. Oh, what's on me? A bug.
So you would, if you use that hypothetically, it would cut only that wide black line, right?
Yes, but because with a laser cutter, it can't read the width of the line. You would have to turn this into an etching, and you would have to change it into a different kind of shape. So if you wanted to etch this with this thickness of line, we would change it into a different kind of object, and I will show you that in a second. But for now, for the sake of clarity, what I want to set typically is I want it to be in points, and I want it to be 1 point. That keeps it really simple. You'll want to check with the laser cutter that you're using, because sometimes it'll be like 0.001. The only issue with that is like, oh, now I really can't see it while I'm working on it.
Where is it?
In fact, did it delete it? No.
Oh,
Okay.
wait, well, how'd you do that? Oh.
So I'm clicking and dragging over, and this is a selection box.
Is it just like a quick shortcut, or is that like always happens? Or if you drag over something?
It always, so as long as you click and drag, it will select it. And if you click this way, let me see. I want to test something.
Can you click multiple things like that too?
Yes,
like
you
if
can.
you,
Anything in your window that's totally inside your window, it will select like that.
Cool. But that's
so we're going to change it to 1 point right now, and that way we can see it visibly. You can also change the line type, but again, this is really a visual effect because the vector is unbroken. So it looks dashed, but the laser wouldn't cut it dashed. It would follow the vector line. Whereas if you wanted the laser to cut a dashed line, it would need to be multiple small lines instead of a whole line that looks dashed.
Why did they give that option then? Wouldn't it be confusing?
Dashes, and well, this is because this vector program isn't for laser cutting. It's for digital design and graphics. So having dotted lines and dashes can be useful for whatever you're designing. But I just wanted to make it clear that if you change it to dash, the laser cutter won't read that. So we're going to leave it straight. So now we've gone over changing the fill, changing the color of the stroke, which is stroke paint, and then stroke style. This is where we can change the width of our stroke. And all of this information is down here. It looks like this guy is, when I hover over the stroke width down in the left-hand corner, you can see that it's in the units of millimeters. I wonder if I right-click this, can I change it to point? Yeah. So this number.
Whoa, you just clicked it and it popped up?
I right-clicked.
Oh.
And so now I can change it to point. So now.
Ah, smart. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So we've gone over those changes. Now, let's use that example that I was doing before of, like, let's say I want to etch into something, a thick line like this. So if I wanted to, so that if I have this object, there are a couple of things I could do. I could etch this into the surface, or I could create 2 cut lines from this and cut those lines. So to etch it, we can leave it as is, because etch is going to read it like a raster, and you don't have to worry about that. It will read black and white, and it will etch what is black. But if we were to say, like, I want to cut this square with this thickness out and like I'm cutting a frame out and I want it to be this thick, then I need a line that cuts the exterior and a line that actually cuts this interior line. Yeah. And the way I would do that is I would go up here to the top where it says path, and I'm going to change convert strokes to path. I think that's going to be the right one.
So you have to make sure you highlight it first before you click path, or is
yes.
or if you click path without it highlighted, it automatically does it.
So for instance, I'm going to show you something real quick that will make this obvious. So, whoop, I don't want that. So when I select this and I double click it, then I'm edited. So this is before, so I went backwards and undid that path thing that I just did. So this is it as it was before, where I have a width of stroke and it's 1/4 inch. And if I take my select tool and I double click on my square, I'm able to edit that path. So I get that radius option and I get those corner options, right? Like we messed with before. And that will change the path like that. We'll go back. However, if I want to use this to create something where I can cut out this frame, what I'm going to want to do is go to my path. I'm going to change the stroke to path. And now when I double click it, you can see I have 2 different.
Oh.
So now it's no longer functioning like a rectangle object. Now it is an object that has 2 different vector lines defining it. So this is no longer a stroke with a 1/4 inch thickness to it. Now it's 2 vector lines with a fill. So if I go to if I select this object without double clicking, we can, let me see, object properties. Shape builder tool. Okay. So so now there's 2 shapes. So this tool right here, this allows us to work with multiple shapes. So now we can see I have an outside rectangle and an inside rectangle.
But I thought we only wanted to work on cutting or etching the outer one. So why would we want to fill in the middle area?
So what I'm going over is if I wanted to cut these out.
Oh, okay, okay.
If I don't want to have a fill, I want to have. So with no fill and the stroke, you can see now I have 2 strokes. Whereas before, if I make another rectangle object and I get rid of any kind of radius on that, I don't want any radiuses. When I move this, okay, so I think this explains it. So I have this object, which I did the path stroke to path to, and I have this object that's just a rectangle object. Okay. So rectangle object, if I apply path, stroke to path, I'll get this. This has one vector line, so if I change
Yeah,
the
I
thickness of the
remember
vector line,
Mhm.
whereas this has two, so if I change the vector line thickness, it changes both of those.
Mhm.
So if I wanted to just etch this into the surface, if I wanted this, I just wanted to draw on my surface.
You want to do the right one. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Or if you
Whereas
want
if
to
I
cut
wanted
it
to
to
cut
the left.
and cut, yep.
I guess I was
Okay.
just confused about what is the purpose of the builder tool again, or that
So,
one where, yeah,
oh, with the
yeah.
shape builder tool,
Mhm.
I'll show you an example of that makes that really clear. So here's a circle, and here's my rectangle, and let's say I want a shape that is these two combined. If I select both of them, then I can use my shape builder and combine them, basically. Do I have it over here? Oh no, that's a copy thing. Okay. So that's a plus, that's a plus, and that's a plus. I've selected all three. And that should create one object so that, I don't know. If I take that out, okay. Yes. So now I have
Oh my gosh.
that and that. So I cut that out. But if I want them all to be one, I can go into object and
That would not be possible in the file, right? If your goal was to etch, so supposedly if it was to etch and you had that shape that's that one of the sides is like a thicker line to the other, it would be hard for the machine to follow that, correct?
Yeah, you wouldn't want the outlines to be
Mix match. You want it to be the same, right?
But what I'm trying to do is actually, I want them to become one shape instead of these multiple shapes. So let me see. Can I do this easily?
So these tools you're showing me is just to use shapes to make objects, but we haven't gone over like the actual drawing tool where you could like just draw your shape, right?
That's right. So these are custom shapes.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, let me see if I select all objects. I want to see if this comes up. Object properties, extensions, arrange, color, document, images, styles, object, maybe path. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. It's path. It's under path. So if I want to make an object that is these two objects combined and you have one outline that goes around the entirety of it, I'm going to use this union. And you can kind of see, it kind of makes it clear what you're doing. But union is going to make this shape. So it gets rid of that. And then if I want to switch to like a fill and no stroke, you can see. So then you can etch this object. So when you're drawing stuff, if you wanted to make like a Mickey Mouse head, you could draw 3 circles and then use that path union to make it one thing. And
so all the black is gone in the material, basically. If it was etched. Yeah.
This allows you then to, I'm going to put my thing in a point, I'm going to make 1 point. And so now there's just one vector line for this object.
You could cut with that one because it's thin.
Yes.
If you want to.
So if I want this to be 1 point. This is also, so let me see, ungroup, that's what I want to do here.
I just have to ask, is there a way, if you already chose to make your strokes to a path, is there a way to undo it after you do a lot of work on the object itself, or is it you can't do that unless you have to make your object first and then turn it from to stroke to path. Doesn't matter.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
So you combine the two shapes, the circle and the rectangle, and you made it into one object that you could be turned into the strokes into a path. For the path means the machine follows the path, right? So is there any reason to turn the path back into stroke points?
So that's what's getting confusing is so stroke is is the path. They're the same thing.
Oh.
I think what you're thinking about is if I have two different objects and I've made them into one object, like we did here where we did Boolean, where we took the path and we unioned them like that. Sorry. Path union. It gets rid of the lines that overlap between the two of them. That's what you're asking about? Is there a reason to go back to having it be two different paths or a way to go back for where you have this in here still? Well, so if you're thinking about it on the laser, right, this is the path that the laser is going to follow. So it's going to zzz, and it's going to cut through. If you want this shape, then you only want to cut out this shape. But if you wanted this shape, if you left it like this, what the laser would do is it would cut this circle, and then it would cut this circle. And so you would have this shape, and this shape cut out.
Okay.
They
well, if I wanted 3 pieces, then that would make sense to leave it. But if I wanted only one with the outside, then I would union that.
Exactly. Okay. So now I'm going to show you the line drawing tool. So those are our shapes. Our shapes, it's just for easy, I want a rectangle, I want a circle. And the star polygon tool is the same kind of thing where there's a star or a polygon. You can name the number of corners. So let's say I want to make an 8-pointed star.
Can you do an infinite, like 20 or something? Would it actually work?
I don't know if it was 1,000 if it would work. But if you want to make like a 20-point star.
Oh my gosh, that's so useful.
And you can mess with these things too. Rounded, I suppose, is like making it wigglier.
Whoa. What is randomized to?
I don't know. I've never seen a randomized before. Let's make this back to 0. What does randomize do? I see. It makes it funky and weirder.
Spoke ratio.
And then spoke ratio, that's the length of the line.
That's smart. Oh, so useful.
So 1 to 1 is nothing. And half is going to be, I guess, half of the size. So you can play with that.
Okay.
So and we can take our selection tool and move the whole thing. And we could take our node tool and...
Okay, one last time. Remind me what a node is again.
So,
a node is point. Yeah.
So a node is basically a path, right? Goes between nodes. And the way this program works, it looks like you can, with a shape like this, edit the whole thing, which is nice. But also, I think you could insert a new node to it too. How can we do this? So there are these options with the path. Can I edit this with a different kind of thing? Or let's see, this is show handles for selected node. Object to path. Okay, yeah. That's what I was thinking. So before, this is an object that is a star object. And so when I try to edit the nodes, I'm editing this special kind of object. But if I wanted to edit these individual lines, I would come up here, I would take this object to path option, and I would click that. And now each of these has a node that you can edit.
Ah, cool. That's
So
neat.
you can move those around, and that makes that easier. And that's the same for our rectangle tool, right? So when we drew our rectangle and we switched to the node tool, this is where I can change my radius.
Ah, okay.
But if I switch this to object, now I've got nodes at each of these locations.
So useful.
And you can also change the curve of this node with these little guys.
So if you were copying, I guess you hand drew a pattern, but you're trying to translate it into the program. If you, as long as you have a grid or you know the measurements of your hand drawing, it's easy to replicate as long as you follow the grid on your program, right?
Yep. Also, let's see, can I paste that? Okay, that's what comes up when I paste. Let me pop into here and let's look up just a simple line drawing cat. So we're going to go on here, use somebody's cat drawing. This cute little guy. I'm going to copy this image. So this is going to be a raster image, right? And if I paste it into here now.
How do you know it's a raster again? Is raster like, is it the same as a PNG?
A raster is a type of file that is made with pixels, and there are file types that are all raster: JPEG, PNG, TIFF. They don't have vector information. They don't have these paths that you can edit in them. They only have their pixel information. So if there's no line here that I can draw, like move around here. If I do this, it's just going to squish it. But I'm pretty sure that there should be a way to make this raster image into to create trace bitmap. I think that's it. Yeah. So I choose that path trace bitmap, and I'm gonna say invert image. I don't want to do that. Speckles, I think, is noise settings, so I don't want to worry about that.
A bitmap is the pixel, basically. Or no?
It should be. Let's see. Brightness, cutoff, edge detection, color, quality. Can I make it into? I want to trace it. Is what I want to do, and create vectors out of this really simple thing. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I select this. I apply. And now I should have, yes,
Oh, what'd you do? Oh my gosh.
All right, we'll do that again. So I'll make it clear because I am sort of figuring this out. It's all stuff that I know how to do in Illustrator. And so I come in here and so right now it's just a raster image, right? If I double click into it.
You dragged it into there. Okay. Or copied it.
I pasted this from the internet, but so let's say you draw something on your iPad and you have just the raster image, but it's all outlines and stuff. Then you can bring it in here and trace it using this path trace bitmap, and you can make vector lines out of a really simple raster image. So the reason I picked something that was black and white and like a line drawing is because that's the easiest thing for this to do. If there were multiple colors, if it was more complicated, it would be harder for it to do this. So
you click trace bitmap.
We get this guy open up over here. And we can smooth our corners, we can change how it looks, but for now we'll just go with the automatic settings. And we're gonna apply. And now you can see that the box that contains this object has now shrunk down to just where like the black images are. And if I take my node tool, I see all of these nodes. And
Is there a way to zoom in?
yes, there is. If you hold Control down and you have a mouse with a scrolling wheel, it will zoom in and out. So
Okay, now we could.
So I can change those, and I can. I want to change it so that there is. So I'm selecting the whole object again, and I want the outlines to be black and the fill to be empty. And I want my stroke style to be down in the point and have it be 1, or maybe even 0.5 thinness. Okay.
Did that really make a difference?
Let me see if I can see that it's changing something, and what I'm wondering is, let's see, object ungroup. So can I? Yeah, okay.
Oh, whoa.
So there's this path, and then if I select this underneath, there we go. Okay, so what was going on there? So what was going on there is when I did that trace of the like raster image, the raster image is still underneath this. So when I double click, when I see these nodes, I know I'm selecting the path. But if I try to get underneath it.
So you had to delete the raster underneath it after you traced the nodes.
Mm-hmm. So from here, there we go. So you can see the raster image is like at the edges of that, of what we drew. So it's further out. And then when I select the paths, then it comes closer. So if I select out here and I hit delete, that goes away. And now I'm just looking at the vector. And so if I were to fill, those would look black. If I get rid of the fill, I'm just seeing the stroke. If I change the stroke weight, it gets skinnier.
But now, because you delete the raster, you can fill in this area knowing that you can etch it or not. But if you were confused with the other file, it wouldn't have worked because it was still just a raster image.
You can etch raster because the way etching reads, is it black, is it white, and then it goes across like a laser printer does, you know. So it goes back and forth across the material and just lasers when it senses a black pixel. So that's etching, and then cutting follows a vector. So if you still had that image under there and you wanted to etch that whole thick black line into something, that would be fine. But if you just wanted to cut, so let's, I want to cut this outline, then it needs to be this vector. And, and then you could edit this further. So if you want to, like, let's say I don't want, I think I can object ungroup, and then I can maybe object, I want to be able to just take this vector line and delete it. I want to delete all of them. Yeah. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. But yeah, so you could get rid of, let's say, you don't want to cut out that interior, you just want to see the bow. Squares are the actual points. There we go. So now, you go in and edit and get rid of stuff that you don't actually want to be in there. And so you're only cutting out the outline. So that's very useful for that.
Yeah. I learned a lot already.
And I think you could actually do object. What was I going to try to do? Oh, yeah, union. So if I union these guys, if I select all of them in object union, what happens? Or path union, what happens?
That's not the same as grouping or ungrouping.
No, grouping is like, okay, I have this rectangle, and I have this other rectangle, and I want them to stay like the same distance from each other. So if they're ungrouped, then I can just move this one freely. But if I select both of them and I object group them, then whenever I select them, they're together. And if I double click in, I can still move it separately, double click out, and the group still moves around.
Oh, okay. That's just a shortcut? Like where you click it?
Yep. So, and then I can, if I wanted them to stop having a group relationship, I ungroup them, and you can see their outlines are there.
Okay.
All right, so we've gone over a couple of things. I want to see a couple more important things. So we've talked about raster, which raster is for etching, vector is for cutting. You can also etch a vector just by changing the intensity of the laser in the laser cutter's settings. One thing you'll want to do typically is you want to use your layers for organization. So let's say I have this rectangle. This is something I want to cut out. And then this circle in the middle, I want it to be something that I'm going to etch. So when I take this to the laser cutter, what I want it to do, I want it to cut this out, but I want it to burn this circle in an etch.
Yeah.
So I want these to be on two different layers. So we've got our layers tool here, our layers tab here, and we've got layer 1. I'm going to make layer 1 cutting, and then I'm going to make another layer, and this is going to be etching. So under cutting, I have the circle path and the rectangle path. I'm going to select the circle, drag it, and put it onto etching. So this drop down tells me everything that's on the cutting layer, and this drop down shows me everything that's on the etching layer. And the reason we want to do this is because when you run the laser, you're going to run etching first and then cutting. So everything that's being etched, you want it to do that first because you can't, the laser mid-lasering can't change its intensity, right? So you're going to set your laser settings for etching, and then everything you etch, you want to do at once. And so anything you want to cut, you want to turn off. So the way that you would do that, you've got your two layers, right?
Is that the eyeball inside?
Yep. So you'll make it go away. So now this is all that's going to cut.
Wait. So like you're organizing the file by putting the name of what you want to do, but the program itself doesn't know which one's which. So you just have to turn off the visibility and then set the file to whichever format you want to do it first. So it's more of you having to remember which one you've done and setting it up right, the right way.
Exactly. So everything. So you're basically organizing this file so that that is really easy when you get to the laser. So you can hide everything that's etching. You can hide everything that's cutting. And then, so if everything, so now we just have what's going to etch. Tig, please don't. You're not helping. My cat is here. Come here. I know I'm talking, and I know it's 5 o'clock, so it's time for your food, but anyways. So then you would print from this, and they would have your laser cutter information to print from. And you would print this file with just the etching, and then you would do the same thing for cutting.
So whenever like you, I mean, I guess it's far along in the lesson, but I was just wondering if when you send the file to the machine, each machine has a different way that it's formatted when you see the file, or is it like a uniform, like, or you don't see any image, it just does it? Like you have to get the file right from the design and you send it, or is there a way to see what you're about to do on the
So
laser machine?
typically, and because I don't have a laser cutter here at home, I can't really show you. But for instance, at U of H, there's a computer that's linked up with the laser cutter like it's linked up with a printer, right?
Yeah.
So when you open the file to print, you'll have one of the options be the laser cutter. And then under that, it's going to have the information about like the settings for the laser in that. So you'll be able to see just the way you would if you were printing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if it's different than that, that's going to be, machine. And whoever you're using that machine with, you'll need the explanation from them. But that is how it works with a typical laser cutter at the U of H print lab. And I imagine it's similar at the library. We're going to do one more thing, and then that'll be
I was about to say we're running overtime now.
I know, because it's because I can't.
I mean, it's fine with me if you have time. I don't have anything to do, so.
I'm going to show you text. And actually, we didn't really go over the pen tool. But the pen, so we'll do pen tool really, really quickly, which is you just want to draw a path. So if you're just wanting to make,
It's the same where the circles is the curves and the squares are the points, right?
Yeah. So this is called the pen tool, and it allows you to draw freehand. So when I select the pen tool, what I'm doing is I'm dropping a node. So when I click, there's a node. And so I clicked, I'm not holding down anything. It's showing me, okay, this is the path that will be drawn the next time you click and add a node. So I can hold the shift, or I can't hold the is it control? Okay. So for this program, it's control is the short key, and you can see it's jumping from regular angles. So if I hold control, I can draw a straight line really easily when I'm holding control down. Whereas if I I'm not holding control down anymore, and it's smooth, it's not jumping in between. And it's hard to make it a straight line. So I want to hold control down if I want my line to be straight. So I'm holding control down, I click, and now I've dropped another node. If I want my line to be rounded, I'm going to click where my next node goes, and I'm going to hold it down, and I get this guy that allows me to change the radius of my line in between the nodes. So now I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to, so it's got to fill, but there's no actual line between those two. So if I get rid of the fill and I just show the stroke, you can see there's no line in between these 2 points going this way. There's just a line doing that.
Why did it automatically fill? If there is no, why did the shape automatically fill if there was no?
I don't know. It's how it.
Okay.
It's kind of annoying. I wouldn't want it to do that, but I think it's just assuming I want it to be a shape. I don't know why it makes that assumption. But so now I'm using my node tool again. And so now I can move the nodes of this around, and I can also change this around.
Wow. Okay.
And up here we have our path tools now that we're working on a path, and we have the option to insert a new node. So if I click that, And can I? Yeah. So when I select the path in between two nodes, both of the nodes on either end of the path show up. And if I choose this insert new node into selected segment, it adds another node. And so now I can move it like that. If you want to delete the selected node, you can do that with this. And now it's curvilinear instead, so there's not a node there to edit anymore. And I think can I make it straight in between? Break path, join segments, make node, corner? Yeah, okay. So let's say I don't want this line in between them to be curvy though. I'm going to select this node and I'm going to choose this make nodes corner. So that just gets rid of any curve. If I wanted to make nodes, make selected nodes symmetric, let's see.
You have to select all the ones you want to make symmetric.
So let's do this. Now we've got that going on. Corner everything. Yeah, so you play around with these settings here. Let's say I want to, where's one where I can break? Join selected nodes, break path at selected nodes. So if I've got these two nodes selected, and I choose this break path, or delete segment, that's really what I wanted to do, yeah, between those nodes. Now they're gone.
Oh.
If I break them, I guess it made this extra line here that I can't edit. Or, okay, and if you double click on a line where you want a new node, it'll make a new node.
Cool.
So you'll play around with that when you're like wanting to learn how to make shapes. But the pen tool is very useful for like having a lot of control over what your shape is and being able to make shapes that aren't simple rectangles, circles, etc. So that's our pen tool. And really, these shapes and the pen tool are the things you're going to use. The only other thing I'm going to show you is text. So your text tool. So for the laser cutter, you know, it still needs everything to either be a raster or a vector. So text, though, is its own kind of object, right? So I'm etching this. So if it's, as long as it's still a text tool, I can come in here and edit my text, right? As if it's like in a Word document, right? But your laser cutter is not going to be able to read an object that is like a text object. It needs it to be it needs it to be a shape instead of text. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, so right now this is set where it has a stroke and a fill, and just like a shape object, you can change the stroke width, you can change the fill. So now it's got a black fill, and if I want stroke, I can get rid of. So now the stroke is empty. You can see down here in the left-hand corner. So you can change that, and it's still a text object, right? And you can even change the fill to be red there, right?
So but you still can't etch this yet.
Yeah, this is still a text object. Now, if I want to make this into something that I can cut, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing that we were doing where it's object to path. So this will turn it into a vector thing. So now when I double click into it, zoom in.
But why isn't it all together? Double click and only highlighted certain.
It separated them into objects based on their color, which is interesting. Instead of having
it doesn't really matter, does it?
No. At this point, you just want these things they're shapes now instead of, so I can't come back and sorry, I keep hitting my window thing instead of control. So if I came up here and I got my text tool again, you can see it doesn't highlight. I can't change what it says anymore because now it's just a shape.
I see.
And I can still change the fill to be empty and set a stroke, right?
Okay.
And change the stroke width.
So if my goal was to essentially cut only if I only wanted to cut and keep the letters itself, it doesn't matter where I put it on my board. But if I wanted it to be cut, if I wanted to keep the board and only like cut out the letters in a straight line, that I wouldn't want to shift it around.
Right.
The space. Right.
If this board is a sign and you want the sign to read like, here's the text.
Yeah.
Am I making sense? If you want it to, you're going to lay this out the way you want it to be seen. Now, if the point is only to cut letters out of it, then it doesn't really matter where they're located. But if you're using the material as the object and you're wanting to cut out of the object or etch into the object, then it matters where they are.
Okay.
And you can still change all of that with your width and your height. And actually, let's say I want to make this like 3 inches tall and I want it to not, so if I just change it to 3 inches tall or 3 inches wide, it stretches it, right?
Yeah.
But if I click this little lock button, it locks in the ratio. So now when I do this, it does it in ratio.
And then with the X and Y, you could still center it on whatever inch you want.
You know, move that over.
Smart.
And one thing I will also say is, if you have a sign and you want to cut letters out of it and you want them to read as letters, it's important to note that if it's like the letter A or the letter D, where there is a hole in the letter, so when you're cutting this, you want, so that when you cut this S out, it's going to be, the S is going to come out. But if you cut this D out, it's also going to cut the whole of the D.
Objects, right?
So an easy way to solve for that is to create like a little rectangle tool and layer it over it and take these. I wonder if I can ungroup this first. Object ungroup. Does that work? No. I guess it would be easier in Illustrator, but I don't know if I can do it easily here. Actually, well, no, let's see if I can do it easily here. So I select these two objects, this guy and this guy, and then I do difference. Create difference of selected path, bottom minus top. So the thing you have drawn first is going to be underneath the thing you just drew. You can change what's on the top and the bottom. But for this instance, it's how we want it already. So I'm going to use that difference. And you can see it just easily cut it out. So now it's going to cut that D out. It's going to hold that hole there. So it'll still read like a D. And you'll need to worry about like, is that hole big enough so that the laser isn't just like cutting. If this is too close and your letters are too small, the laser will still cut the whole thing out. So you'll have to make sure that you're calibrating for that. But if this is like a whole inch high, and this was what it was like.
But this is only for if you want a simple way to still cut out the D with minimal work. But if you wanted to keep the D as a whole, like you wanted to do the cutting of the outline of the D and the inside, that's a whole different steps to have to separate the text into two objects to cut.
Yes, exactly. So this is if the point of the text is that my material is a sign and I'm cutting the letters out so that the sign reads where the letters are absent, then I want to make sure I have that little notch just so I keep the interior. But if I want these letters, I'm cutting these letters out so I can put them on something else, then I want it to, I would leave it like this because it would follow the vector of the inside and it would follow the vector of the outside, and then you would get a perfect D out. And so that would be for, you're not using the material as the object, you're just cutting out of the material the things that you want, then you would leave the whole as it is.
Got it. Makes sense.
All right, and so that, I think we're gonna call it there. So again, you'll save, it's an SVG, and you can bring that SVG wherever you're going, and they should have some kind of program that allows you to print from it. You could, so for instance, let's say the library has Illustrator. I'm going to open up Illustrator just to make a point. And it'll take long enough, though. I don't care. I don't care. All right. So now I can open, and if I come into here, I've got my tutorials, my Inkscape tutorial. Because it's an SVG, I can open it. And see.
Oh, whoa. Wait, what happened? Why is there...
All it did was it grouped these into one thing. But this would also, you ungroup it. Edit, object, ungroup again. Can I just ungroup all? Did that work? Object, ungroup again. Or is it that it's expand? Release compound path. Yeah, there we go. Now I can move them by letter.
Cool.
Yes. So an SVG file is something you can open in Illustrator. You can save out of Illustrator as an SVG, and you can use it in Inkscape, and it is the universal file type for vector files, which are what you need.
Yay! I learned so much today.
And what I guess I'll record the little bit at the beginning that's just talking about setting up your document, and we'll get to that point where we were talking about the square, and then I'll combine these together and send it to you. Do you want to, we've already gone an hour and a half. Do you want to spend time trying it out and me watching you do it? Or,
so actually, I messaged you and was like, hey, do I need to download anything? I didn't realize that you could download Inkscape as a program on your laptop. So I have not downloaded it yet. So probably today it would take too long for me to try to download and figure that out. So I think next time, if you were to watch my screen and I would like play around with it on my own time before our next session, I think that would be more.
Yeah, we can plan for that. And also with this video, you may find like that your questions are answered through this just by going back. But yeah, do you want our next session to be a continuation of Inkscape, or do you want to move into, let's do that. Our next session, you'll come with a file of something you want to make, and we'll look at that together and answer any questions you have from that. And then from there, we can move into 3D.
Make what? Question mark.
Well, what do you want to use the laser cutter for? I imagine since you are into stained glass, I think you can etch into glass on a typical laser cutter. I don't know if you can cut through glass, but I think you can etch glass. But let's say you're wanting to cut stencils out. basically.
Helpful. That would be helpful.
Laser cutter would be useful for cutting out stencils, or you wanted to make a frame or something like that. I can see the laser cutter being very useful. And the 3D stuff you want to look into is mostly around like jewelry design, right?
Oh, I did have an update for you. Totally random. But I actually will be moving in July. So I'm starting a
Oh,
master's program in August. My big
ooh,
update, I
where?
haven't told everybody yet. I'm going to the University of Mississippi for my master's in sculpture.
Oh, cool, exciting.
So actually, this is helpful that I'm learning this with you right now. So then by
Uh-huh.
then, when I get there, I'll have some kind of knowledge to start messing around with their tools and their other stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, because when I was teaching at U of H, no one was showing them how to use the machines. So I kind of just took that on. But in your sculpture program, you should definitely, if it's anything like U of H, which is pretty basic, you'll have a tech lab and there will be a tech assistant, which is what Saran does at U of
Oh,
H.
I didn't know that's her job.
Yeah, she works in the tech lab and she
Oh,
teaches.
I knew she
Um,
teaches. I didn't know she worked in the lab too.
I think, I don't know if she still does or if that was just what she was doing while she was getting her graduate degree. But that's how we met first. All right, cool. So I will upload this to YouTube and then send you the link on YouTube, and then you will be able to access this at any time and answer your questions there. All right, cool. Um, and we'll talk about meeting. Do you want to do this on a weekly basis?
Yeah, for sure. Like honestly, I guess it really just depends on you, but there was just so much I feel like to learn. Like once a week is good, but ideally like twice a week, or depending on I guess how much you're trying to teach me. I'm like I could be learning.
I think we should keep it to once a week just for my schedule right now.
That
Um,
works.
and yeah, we're gonna see how far into it you want to go because there's a lot that we can do. Right now, the easiest thing for me to teach you, and I'm going to stop recording because now we're just talking.